Carter urges India to reconsider IWT decisions as treaty abeyance will trigger crisis in Pakistan. Key cabinet meet on security concludes at Prime Minister's residence. Separate pull-aside meet between Prime Minister, Home Minister and the Defence Minister. All right, viewers, let's take you through on what is our top debate this evening. Just about half hour before the Prime Minister addressed the nation, we heard from President Trump, where he seemed to have insinuated very clearly that it was America that brokered the ceasefire between India and Pakistan. He more so also said that he leveraged trade to do so. At the back of it, we have the Prime Minister who spoke decisively, and after that, we also had a press brief by the Ministry of External Affairs, who laid bare that it was Pakistan that actually had sought a ceasefire and not India, rather begged for a ceasefire. Well, yesterday, once again, President Trump came out and reiterated exactly what he had said 2 days ago. Once again suggesting that it was Pakistan that brokered peace and ceasefire, that it was America that brokered ceasefire between India and Pakistan, and that President Trump had used and leveraged trade to do so. He also seemed to insinuate that Pahalgam terror strikes was a small issue. At the back of that, we've had massive domestic politics where India is concerned, the opposition attacking the government and the BJP on have India's interests been compromised at the back of what at least the opposition claims is pressure from the United States of America. The fog of war has lifted. Ceasefire has been announced. India has made it clear this is a strategic pause, not peace. Any Pakistan misadventure will be met with decisive action. India making it clear that it was Pakistan that begged for a ceasefire. An hour before the Prime Minister's address to the nation, the American President Donald Trump made a startling statement.
My greatest hope is to be a peacemaker and to be a unifier. I don't like war. Just days ago, my administration successfully brokered a historic ceasefire to stop the escalating violence between India and Pakistan.
A bold claim by the US president where he said it was America that brokered peace between two nuclear-armed neighbors, emphasizing that he used trade to broker peace. A claim he reiterated a day after on his visit to Saudi Arabia. Trump once again took credit for the ceasefire between India and Pakistan, saying he used trade as leverage to dial down tensions.
My administration successfully brokered a historic ceasefire to stop the escalating violence between India and Pakistan. And I used trade to a large extent to do it. I said, fellas, come on, let's make a deal. Let's do some trading. Let's not trade nuclear missiles. Let's trade the things that you make so beautifully.
Moreover, what could be read as a huge affront to India was President Trump seeming to insinuate that Pahalgam was a small issue. India has dismissed these assertions, reiterating that peace efforts are rooted in its own diplomatic and strategic decisions. Prime Minister Modi reinforced India's long-held position. Kashmir is not up for discussion. He stressed that India and Pakistan can only have a dialogue on terror and return of POK.
हमारी घोषित नीति रही है, अगर पाकिस्तान से बात होगी तो टेररिज्म पर ही होगी। अगर पाकिस्तान से बात होगी तो पाक ऑक्युपाइड कश्मीर पीओके उस पर ही होगी।
India has also firmly rejected the idea that American pressure played any role. The message from Delhi is crystal clear. India doesn't need mediation, and that it was the action of the forces that led to Pakistan pleading for ceasefire.
Be clear. It was the force of Indian arms that compelled Pakistan to stop its firing.
In the high-stakes game of diplomacy and deterrence, there is also inter-domestic politics, with the opposition now asking questions of the government. Why hasn't India given a strong rebuttal to the claims made by President Trump?
Very special. We've accomplished a lot.
Jairam Ramesh of the Congress tweeted, questioning the government if India's interests were mortgaged under US pressure.
स्टेट रूबियो की ओर से जो बयान आ रहे हैं, ये हमारा क्या रवैया है, हम क्या चाहते हैं, हमारा रुख क्या है। विदेश मंत्री चुप हैं, राष्ट्रीय सलाहकार जो सुरक्षा सलाहकार हैं वो चुप हैं, प्रधानमंत्री तो अपनी चुप्पी तोड़ते ही नहीं है किसी मामलों पर।
Other parties also joined in questioning the government on why no strong offensive to America.
अब सऊदी में जाकर आपने दोहराया, फिर कश्मीर पे बोल दिया आपने, जो हमारी ऐतिहासिक समझ, हमारी जो अब तक की अग्रीमेंट्स के हिसाब से वो उसको उसके बियॉन्ड है। मेरी चिंता उस बात को लेकर के कल एमईए ने प्रतिकार किया, लेकिन ये प्रतिकार देश की सबसे बड़ी संस्था संसद की ओर से सामूहिक रूप से, पक्ष विपक्ष का फर्क नहीं, वो जाना चाहिए ताकि इनको भी ये एहसास हो, अमेरिकन प्रेसिडेंट को, यू कांट स्पीक दिस काइंड ऑफ लैंग्वेज एंड गेट अवे विद इट। ये नहीं होगा।
While domestic politics peaks, ultimately it's a tightrope diplomatic war for India. Top focus on To The Point this evening. In midst of all of this, viewers, once we have the opposition now attacking the government, led by the Congress, asking the government that were India interests compromised at what the Congress feels is third-party mediation. Well, the entire Congress doesn't quite feel it, because there is certain senior leadership of the Congress which is feeling to the contrary. And why I say that, listen in to what now has become the Congress's Tharoor conundrum.
You've got Donald Trump, the United States president, claiming credit for the ceasefire, virtually saying that he's ready to mediate on the Kashmir issue, and importantly, drawing an equivalence between India, the victim, and Pakistan, the perpetrator. How do you
sure that we did not seek American mediation on this matter?
So there, while the Congress was going after the government, on what Congress seems to suggest is third-party mediation and India's interests compromised, one of its own senior leaders says that there has been no mediation. Meanwhile, certain questions we pose before we cut across to our panel this evening. Should India have been firmer in its rebuttal to America? The other question that we ask, has India made its displeasure clear on America equating India with Pakistan? Viewers, through decades, Pakistan, it's been successful in doing so, but President Trump did not. On the other hand, is India's multi-alignment foreign policy working or backfiring? Earlier on, India had the non-alignment policy. With coming in of the Modi government, we move towards what is multi-alignment policy. Is it working or backfiring? Should India really take what President Trump says seriously? That's the big question. There's so much that President Trump has said. If you look at that's the big question. There's so much that President Trump has said. If you look at what the comments that he made in Saudi Arabia, where he went what President Trump says seriously. Third-party mediation was also there, viewers, in the 1965 war and Kargil. Why take umbrage right? 5 war and Kargil. Why take umbrage right now? Let's take these questions to our person Congress. Ashutosh, author and political, make your submissions, and then we will move on to the next panelist. I begin with Sanju Verma right at top. Sanju Verma, two big things. Number one, half an hour before Prime Minister's first address to the nation, you have the President of America come out and openly suggest that it was America that mediated and it was because of America that there was a ceasefire, which India, of course, the MEA spokesperson has contradicted. Then yesterday you had the President of the United States again seeming to suggest the same and also hyphenate trade with it, saying he used trade to leverage this ceasefire. He also, and we'll play that in just a short while now, seemed to insinuate, and I think that's a big one, Sanju Verma, where he seemed to suggest that Pahalgam was a small issue. While we've had a strong rebuttal coming in from the spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs, one wonders, shouldn't this have warranted a senior person like the Prime Minister himself, or at least the Foreign Affairs Minister, to make a strong rebuttal? Should we have been firmer in our response?
Preeti, first things first. Hats off to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. I would like to take your platform to once again congratulate Prime Minister Modi for setting in motion what I call, and what many have called, the Modi doctrine. Let's be very clear. India, the largest democracy in the world, brought Pakistan down to its knees, and Pakistan is a nuclear power as much as India, brought Pakistan down to its knees in less than 23 hours by paralyzing and shattering 11 of its air bases and air defense systems. Point number one. Prime Minister Modi could not have been more clearer. He said 3 very important things in his address to the nation 48 hours back. Trade and terror will not go together. Trade and talks will not go together. Water and blood will not flow together. And as Prime Minister Modi said, हमने एक लकीर खींची है, हमने एक लक्ष्मण रेखा खींची है, हमने एक नया पैमाना सेटअप किया है, and that नया पैमाना, that नई लक्ष्मण रेखा is this: an act of terror will be considered an act of war. And let me tell everybody out there, Preeti, to your show, who have been saying, oh, Indira Gandhi बनना आसान नहीं है, जी हाँ, इंदिरा गांधी बनना आसान नहीं है, because Indira Gandhi, despite the 1971 victory, lost everything by way of a lame duck Shimla agreement on the negotiating table in 1972 by completely succumbing to every ridiculous demand of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. ये आपकी वही इंदिरा गांधी है who handed on a golden platter 93,000 Pakistani prisoners of war. But ये वही इंदिरा गांधी है who could not even get back Indian prisoners of war who continue to rot
Right.
in Pakistan.
Sanju Verma, your time is up. Your fader is going to go down. I want to bring in the Congress spokesperson, Mahima Singh, into this conversation. Two things, Mahima Singh. Number one, we've seen this realignment of world order. Should we really take President Trump so seriously? He's the same person who, in the same speech, while India with Pakistan, also seemed to suggest that he's brokered peace between Russia and Ukraine. That hasn't quite happened. You've had Zelensky, who hasn't even addressed what President Trump said. So should we really take President Trump that seriously? Number one. Number two, Mahima Singh, the fact is the Congress has constantly harped on third-party mediation. Let's hark back to 1965. What was Tashkent agreement? It was third-party mediation. Kargil war, what was it? It was third-party mediation.
Jai Hind, Preeti, at the outset, as you asked me about the third-party mediation and what happened in 65 and 71, I must remind you that Shimla Agreement was entered into 72, which the BJP spokesperson is very lightly talking about right now. So I want to ask a straight question, which the Congress has been asking for many days. Has the Shimla Agreement ceased to exist for this government? They should spell it out straight. Are we open to third-party mediations now? They should also tell us whether diplomatic channels between the two countries, India and Pakistan, have opened now. Now you're asking me whether we should take Mr. Trump seriously or not. Well, you tell me, Preeti, because just months ago we saw Mr. Prime Minister visiting the United States. We saw the halabaloo across the channels. Trump is pulling the chair for Mr. Modi, although he refused to come out and receive him, by himself, as he did many other prime ministers. We saw Indians being shackled and sent on US Army planes like criminals back to our country. Should we take Mr. Trump seriously or not, Preeti? So to the Prime Minister Modi, I want to say today, resounding the feelings that majority of Indians carry today for him and his government in Irtiza Nishat's words. कुर्सी है तुम्हारी, ये जनाजा तो नहीं है. कुछ कर नहीं सकते तो उतर क्यों नहीं जाते? Because you see, in the morning, the BJP handles tweet, याचना नहीं अब रण होगा. And by the evening, there is an arbitrary and absurd ceasefire that comes announced by Mr. Trump. 3:35, two countries speak, India and Pakistan speak. And at 5:30, we see Mr. Trump coming out. None of our defense minister, external affairs Minister, Prime Minister, anybody from the government coming out, we want to ask it straight. Have they traded Sindoor? Have they traded Sindoor behind this ceasefire, which they even refuse to admit today?
Okay. Mahima Singh, your fader is going to go down. I want to cut across. Right now in the studio with me is Karan Verma, author and political analyst. Karan Verma, the fact is you have the President Trump who announces the ceasefire. You have President Trump who India's entire diplomatic endeavor has been over decades to dehyphenate from Pakistan, equate India and Pakistan in the same breath, and then hyphenate trade to it, says he used trade to leverage.
Right.
In politics, in diplomacy, while one has to walk that fine rope, diplomatic rope, there is also optics where your own domestic audience is concerned. What is this messaging, many would suggest?
So, Preeti, let's understand this. Donald Trump has been a trash talker. He's also gone on to say that Canada should become the 51st US state. He's also said that I have just brokered a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine, and that ceasefire, supposed ceasefire, I think lasted for 2 hours. So, people take that with a pinch of salt when Donald Trump speaks. Of course, as an Indian, I did not like what he said. I do not like and Pakistan being spoken of in the same breath. We are a 4 trillion economy, one of the largest economies in the world, and there is a terrorist pauper state. So, of course, I take strong